Hey, hey. Welcome everybody to Miss Glow's Kitchen, where there's sugar, spice, and everything nice, where we slice, dice, and entice, using everything we can, from peppers to allspice. What's up, my people? Y'all know what time it is? See y'all in the kitchen. Meat pies are on our menu today. Keep in mind, before I tell you what you need, that every single culture has a different kind of meat pie that they make. But I'm going to tell you this one that I make. All right, so this is what we need. We need meat, we need beef, and pork. So we got half beef, half pork. We got double the amount of beef that we have than pork, okay? And then we need onions, celery, green peppers. We got double the amount of onions, and you want to make sure that you finely chop the green peppers and the celery. So we need a cup of water, a tablespoon of all-purpose flour, a tablespoon of oil, Creole seasoning, black pepper, seasoned salt, garlic powder, minced garlic. Y'all know what I always say, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's get to it. All right, so into the pot that I used to brown the meat, we're going to heat it back up. So we're going to keep that fat in there that was from the meat, so the grease. We're going to keep that in there. And into that, we are going to put the onions, the celery, and the green peppers. Now, you want to cook this until the onions are translucent, which means they're almost see-through. But they've been cut so small that this is going to be a really quick process. Now, what you don't want to do here is you don't want to brown your onions around the edges. Don't do that. So keep stirring them. You want to cook them till they're translucent, as I said. But again, I'm going to repeat. Don't cook them until they're brown around the edges. If they happen to get that way, though, I'm not telling you that you can't use them, because you can. Just make sure that they're not burned. Season every step of the way when you're cooking. So at this point, this little mixture here, you can sprinkle a little salt and pepper in there, just a little bit though, because you don't want to over salt your dish. Remember, we want to season every step of the way, but you don't want to put so much salt that you ruin your dish, because remember, it's very hard to take out, but you can put more in. So always put a little bit at a time, and then just keep tasting it as you are assembling your dish. Now that's the easy way to do it. So if you go and you just pour salt in there, you'll be sorry. That's all I can tell you. Is that you'll be very sorry that you did that. So, okay, don't do it. All right, so we want to stir this around, and your mixture should start looking like that. All right, so in goes the meat. Remember, we browned the meat before that. Now, another method. I'm getting tongue-tied, I'm sorry. Another method to doing this is you can put that raw meat in there, and you can put those veggies in with the meat, and you can brown it all together. And then what you can do is you can drain the fat off it afterwards, so that you just end up with the meat and the veggies, because you don't want to put all of that fat, that grease, into that dough. Even though we're going to deep fry these, but still, you don't want to do that and just have your dough soggy before you can even deep fry it. So careful with that. We're going to do our mixture like this. Now, we're going to put half of that flour. Remember I said tablespoon of flour. So I'm going to put a little bit of that flour. I'm going to stir this around. Now what this is going to do is this is going to thicken. It's going to not only bind it, but it's going to thicken the meat mixture. So if you saw the picture in the beginning of what the meat looks like inside of the meat pie once it's done, then you'll know that we're going to make a sort of a creamy looking mixture there. All right, so it's going to be kind of thick. So you're not going to have altogether loose meat like you see in the pot. So again, we're going to put that flour in there. The reason for putting the flour in there right now is because you do want to cook it a little bit. Flour is raw. It's a little known fact to a lot of people, but flour is raw, and you do want to cook it. All right, so you're going to give it a little bit of cooking time. It doesn't take a long time, but you want to give it a little bit. You're just going to cook some more, in the mixture, but I'm going to take that raw flavor out by putting it in the meat and then stirring it around. So just put a little bit of the water. So remember, we've got a cup of water. So you're going to put a little bit of it down. We're going to stir this mixture around. So remember, keep watching. It's going to look like this. So I don't want to cut to the point where it's already done, because it's going to be good to see this all the way through. All right, so some recipes I'll jump to, okay, it's done, and let's move on. All right, so that's thick enough. we're going to move on to the pastry part. I did not put the ingredients for the pastry in the beginning. So the pastry, we need 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1½ teaspoons of salt, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. We need 6 tablespoons of shortening. I've got butter flavor shortening right there. 1 egg, and we need 3/4 cup of whole milk. I'm not sure if you use skim milk or some other kind of milk if it'll work. So if you ask me if you can substitute, I am not sure. What we're going to do right now is we're going to mix the first 3 dry ingredients. So that's going to be the 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1½ teaspoons of salt, and 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. All right, so we're going to get this. So we're going to take a whisk here, a fork, whatever you have. We're going to mix this up very well. That's why we want it evenly distributed. So we want to make sure there's salt and baking powder in every bit of it. We don't just have it in some places and not in other places. So if that's even possible, but mix it up well anyway, just to make sure. Doesn't take long. You just want to, just like you do cake batter, cookie dough, or something like that, just mix it up really well. Okay, now what we want to do now is we're going to cut in the shortening. Now you can either use a pastry cutter. If you don't have that, you can use a fork. A fork will work just fine. That's what my mama always used, a fork. Believe me, it works. I didn't have my shortening cut up already, so it's always easier and quicker for a dish if you have your ingredients set up the way that you need them. So you need this shortening cut up into pieces. So we've had that whole block sitting right there, but you want to make sure you cut it up into pieces before you cut it into the dough. Right. So now we're going to take, like I said, a pastry cutter or a fork. I'm going to work this in. And so watch this, because with this pastry cutter, the butter gets stuck on there. So sometimes you can see you're going to have to take your finger and you have to get it out of there. So we need our butter in the dough. We don't need it stuck on the fork or the darn pastry mixer. Oh, wow. Okay. See? Now that's good. And what it's going to start looking like, it's going to start looking like these miniature peas. All right? So it's going to look like these really, really small balls of flour, if you will. So hopefully you can see it as I'm talking. You can see what I'm talking about. But you just want to make sure that you do not have big pieces of shortening in here, because that's not going to work for us. We need that shortening all cut into the flour. All right, so that's what it's going to look like when it's done. And then we're going to put the 1 egg in there. You do not have to beat this egg before you put it in. You do not. All right, and the milk, you're going to pour the milk a little bit at a time. So if you made biscuits before, you know what? If you haven't made biscuits before, then this is the same procedure we used to you use to do that. So what we're going to do is take that egg, we're going to take a little bit of that milk, we're going to mix it in, and then we're going to take a little bit more. You know, we're going to keep mixing it until we end up with this ball of dough. This, don't skip this. So if you have not made dough before, watch this part. Don't skip ahead. This is going to help out a lot, because once you make this dough, you can use this dough for a lot. So it's the same way we make pie dough, same way we start making biscuits. So if you haven't made those things before and you're really interested in making them, then watch this process right here. And you'll get some idea of what you'll be dealing with when you do that. Easy, so easy. Like, it looks like it's hard to make that stuff, but actually it's not. All right, so the rest of the milk goes in. All right, so we're going to stir all of this flour in, stir everything in until, as I said a moment ago, until we'll end up with this ball of dough. So just make sure you have no dry flour left. So I'm going to let you watch this. Right into it with your hands. So that's the only way you're going to really, really get it the way you want to get it. So we go in there with our hands and we smush it. Yep, I said smush it. So we smush it all together. right? So we want to make sure everything is mixed into this dough very well, but that we have no pockets of dry flour in there, the dry ingredients. We want to make sure. All right, so you know you got dry flour at the bottom of the bowls, around the edges. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep on rolling this dough around or flipping it over until you get all of your flour. Yep. And this is good. Told you, this is so easy. So easy. It's kind of therapeutic too. If you like cooking, this is a little therapeutic. All right, so check out our ball of dough right there. Now this dough, we're not going to chill this dough before we use it. We're going to deep fry it so we don't have to do that. But if it's pie dough, you have to chill pie dough. So there's some doughs, if anybody has that question out there, I'm answering it now. There are some doughs that need to chill. There's just like there are some cookies that need to chill before you bake them. So yeah, but this is not one of them. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to ball this up and I'm going to put it to the side. And then I'm going to move on to the meat mixture part. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to make sure we get as smooth of a ball of dough as we can. So all of those separate lines you see in there, I kind of want to get rid of those. Now we're going to roll this out. So you don't have to do too much of that. I'm trying to stick it together. Here's an egg wash. We need this egg wash. It's going to seal around the sides of the meat pie, but you'll see when I do it. Now the egg wash is 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of water. So if you're making more meat pies, you know you're going to double or you're going to triple that. But the basis you're going to start off with for about 3 or 4 meat pies is just going to be 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of water. Cold, lukewarm, doesn't matter, just water. All right, so we want to stir that up. So we want to make sure we incorporate that egg white with that yolk as much as we can. So I don't want to see those pockets of egg, the clear part of it. You want to see those in there. You want to get rid of that as much as you can. And so now you want to do the water the same way. You want to make sure. So you want to get it this where it's a lighter color yellow, and that's what you're looking for. Now here, you need a pastry brush. If you don't have a pastry brush, use your fingers. They'll work. I'm telling you they will. Hey, that's our greatest tool in life, right? Our hands. You better believe it. All right, so I'm going to take about a palmful. Now what I'm doing here is I am guessing. So I'm going to break a piece off. I'm going to roll it into a ball. And then right here, we're going to roll it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut it into a round circle. All right, so before you start this, you want to find something round. A cup, you may find a little ramekin. If you don't have those donut cutters, you don't already have those donut or cookie cutters, then you find something that's as big as you want to make the meat pie. So you think about it as you're going to fold it in half. So whatever you get, remember you're going to fold it in half. So that's going to be like the size of your meat pie. So you think about it that way. So, all right, I always flatten mine out into a disc before I start rolling. You put a little flour down on your surface, and then you put a little flour on the rolling pin, which I did already, but I was talking at that time. All right, so you don't want to put too much flour. It's when you want to lightly flour the surface. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep rolling this out until you get it, number 1, as thin as you want it, or number 2, as wide as you need so that you can cut it out without having to have a misshapen circle. You know what I'm saying? All right, so. All right, but remember this dough is very, very buttery. It's very good. So when I made the meat pies, then I tasted it. These are so good. You don't know what this bottom is? You know how you buy those cake plates, and those cake plates turn into You can turn it into a punch bowl, or you could turn it into a fruit plate or something like this. So this is part of a cake plate. So I took that bottom part, and just to show you, because I have donut cutters, I have cookie cutters, but just to show you that you can use something else around the house if you don't have those, because everybody don't have donut or cookie cutters or whatever. Everybody don't have those round circles to do that. So you have something circular in your house, use that. All right, so for as many meat pies as you're going to make, that's how many circles you're going to cut out. And so remember, the dough, the leftover dough from around there, you can put that dough all back together, and you can even make another one. So for as many as you want to do, but I guarantee you these are so darn good. So I used Creole seasoning, but if you like something spicy, you can put crushed red pepper. You can put a little bit of hot sauce in it. So there's things you can do with these meat pies. You can put any kind of meat. So I used beef and pork. You can use lamb. You can use chicken. You can use meat and potatoes. You can put cheese in here. So I mean, like, the sky's the limit as far as these meat pies and your creativity and what you can put in here. You can make it a Philly cheesesteak meat pie. So hey, you think of it, you do it. Your kitchen, your rules. So all right. You already did that one. So what I'm trying to show you is I had the circle. I lost some of my footage here, and I'm so angry about that I lost that part of it. So what you do is you put that down, and you put that meat on half of it, fold it over, and then you want to press down around the edges with your finger or your thumb. And then what you want to do is you want to take a fork and you cut those indentions all the way around there, and then you brush that egg wash on there. And after you do that, then you drop them into the oil like you see right there. I do apologize. I'm sorry I lost that footage. I am hoping that you understood what I said, or that you rewind and listen to it again. It's not very hard. Just make sure that you put that meat either right there on one side but not too close to the edges, or either you put it right in the center, because once you fold it over, it'll put the meat where it needs to be. All right, so if you're using a deep fryer like this, using a pan, turn these. Don't let them get those burn spots on those dark spots. It's quite unsightly. Of course, you know we eat with our eyes before anything else, so don't let them get those burn spots. So you're going to cook these. So remember the meat mixture, it's done on the inside. So the idea with these is that you're going to cook these until they're a nice, beautiful golden brown. And as soon as you get them, the most beautiful golden brown you can, take them out and drain them on some paper towels. And when you do that, they are ready. If you want to prepare a sauce, or you want to use a sauce with these, you can. All right, so check it out. I'm so hungry. If you see how I'm looking at these, look. I let the grease drip down. I'm telling you, I was so hungry making these. I could not wait until they got ready. So, baby, you see that? Golden brown all on the outside of it. I'm telling you. Cut this open and look at it. I did cut it open. The pictures at the beginning. But you'll see it here. I'm going to cut it. And so what you're going to get right there is you get a crispy, not hard though, but you get a crispy dough on the outside. Check that meat out on the inside. Ooh, it's hot. Now watch me, greedy. I told you I was hungry. So I've been into the mixture, while it's hot, because it just came out. It was so hot, but I was so hungry. This is so good. It's one recipe I'm going to tell you. Go and make these. They're not that hard. Again, I say sky's the limit with the ingredients that you want to put in there. Look, my sister's sitting there, so I'm going to give her a piece of it too. She ended up liking it too. And I'm telling you, we ate these without a sauce. So, hey, go make these, everybody. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time. So good. For more great recipes, tips, and ideas, check out some of my other videos.